Our publisher, Solar Media, recently hosted a roundtable discussion in London on the potential for large-scale energy storage. Afterwards, we talked with Dr Jill Cainey of the Electricity Storage Network, an organisation which looks at electricity storage as one of a number of flexibility resources to modernise energy networks. Dr Cainey told us why government strategy and joined-up thinking is required, especially as renewable energy appears to be on uncertain ground politically, to say the least. We also hear about how the country's national grid is taking an interest in storage, driven by network needs and opportunities, while at an international level, the forthcoming COP21 talks in Paris should be inspiring nations, including the UK, to perhaps do a little better than they are. Dr Jill Cainey of the Electricity Storage Network, thank you very much for coming along to our event today. And we had some robust and lengthy discussions at the round table. I just wanted to ask you quickly about sort of some of our concluding themes today, which were on some sort of priority areas that we can really start to address as an industry and I guess as a nation really. But yeah, I mean, what's your take on that?
Yeah, certainly I'm happy to let you know what the Electricity Storage Network views are on electricity storage in the UK. We think that it's critical that there's a person in DEC who is responsible for storage. So DEC have many offices responsible for many parts of our electricity and energy system, but no one for storage. And so it's very difficult, if there's no voice for storage within the department, to develop a strategy or an approach to storage. And we need storage. I think the government has recognised that we need storage on the system, and I think we've heard today that there are a lot of people who think we need storage on the system. So without a person, it's very hard to deliver anything coherent. David from SDA said that we needed a strategy, as did Frank from the REA, and we would strongly support that as well. Without a strategy for electricity storage, it's not going to happen. So we need to have that overarching strategy. And the government, they're struggling to fund things. They've got difficulties with their levy control framework. If you want to coordinate your funding better, you need to understand where you want to get to and how you're going to get there, and that needs a strategy. So we would strongly support that as well.
So as an initial point, I guess, and I think it's something that a lot of people brought up today, was that there needs to be a sort of joined up thinking kind of approach.
So DEC have an energy innovation fund. Some of that's for energy storage and some of that's for other activities within the system. BIS have funding for energy storage, but there's no link between what BIS are funding and what DEC are funding, and BIS tend to fund research and DEC tend to fund early commercial demonstration projects. So what we actually need is to ensure that we are funding the research that then feeds in to the development, the demonstrations and the commercial, because we want to get to that end point. So we do need that coordination. So yes, not only in DEC are there little silos, as Ray said, but the departments don't talk to each other, and then you bump up against the Treasury's need to balance the books. So, fundamentally it all needs to be joined up.
Right, yeah, because often I hear things like, for example, I was talking to one of the guys from Bear Electric's German operations, and he said he was quite impressed that there was a decent level of knowledge at national grid level. And I guess presumably that goes for each of these departments, probably do have a fairly good understanding of whatever it is there. Obviously I understand National Grid is not a government department as such, but in terms of bringing all those together, that really seems to be the key, I guess.
Yeah, the Electricity Storage Network has been around since at least 2008. We've been working hard to educate all these people. Obviously National Grid is seeing that they need this kind of specialised technology on their system, and they're becoming more and more interested. And their last future energy scenarios in 2015 and 2014, they did have a special energy storage case study, which we did work with them on. So the system need is driving National Grid's interest in energy storage. The government are less knowledgeable in this area. Their innovation team are very knowledgeable, but how everyone in the different parts of the system come together to deliver what we need is a difficult one to answer. National Grid have license conditions that require them to deliver system balancing at lowest cost, not necessarily lowest carbon. How do you ensure that National Grid are developing the services we need for the future that are low carbon to meet our carbon targets? And how do you ensure that DEC, who oversee those license conditions, understand how can they facilitate National Grid's providing low carbon response services?
Evidently, while renewables are in a bit of a tricky state of flux in terms of the support it gets from the top level, I'd just really like to get your take on sort of how much more of a driver this is, and whether it really should be something that more pressure is put onto, not necessarily just the government, but just more pressure at a national level that we kind of recognise this.
Yeah, so COP21 is an international process that will drive how we deal with climate change. And yes, the government, particularly the new Secretary of State Amber Rudd, is talking really strongly about what the UK is going to take to COP21 and the things that they're going to ask for. But on the other hand, while saying that they're going to push really strongly for a below 2 degree temperature increase, they're reducing incentives to renewable generation, which may be because they feel that they're going to reach the targets that they've set themselves. But that's just a renewable energy target, so that's how much renewable generation you have on the system. Are we going to meet our carbon target, which is more critical but less talked about? So can you reduce incentives? Can you go forward without electricity storage and thermal energy storage, etc., and still meet our carbon targets? And are our carbon targets sufficiently harsh enough to ensure that we keep below 2 degrees climate change? Those are the sorts of things I want to know, and I'm not getting, as a climate scientist working in the energy system, I'm not getting that information, and I'm not seeing the department taking actions that reassure me that climate change agenda is being met.
In which case, it's not just about fostering more generation, but how well that generation is integrated, and presumably storage is an important
Storage
juncture for
is
that.
key to maximise your deployment. We've heard Unicos speak today about you can have up to 40% penetration of renewables, so that's much more ambitious than our current target, by incorporating storage. And we also heard that you didn't actually need great massive parks of storage, you just needed lots of little bits of storage throughout the system to enable that significant increase in penetration. And then you need to think about other kinds of energy storage, not just electricity storage, but thermal and gas, so maybe hydrogen or ammonia, so that you get seasonal storage of energy, so that you can, further increase your renewable penetration and reduce your reliance on high carbon thermal generation. Yeah, so fundamentally, you do need storage, and that allows you to get more renewables on the system, which leads to lower carbon, not only because you're using low carbon generation, but because you're getting rid of that peaking high fossil fuel plant.
Fantastic. Dr. Jill, thanks very much for your time.